Hey guys, this Magic here, and as you can see, I mixed things up since the last video. Last one had traditional rounds with bullets in them. I decided to mix it up, go with shells, because I don't discriminate on this channel. So, a little beautiful border going on this time, but the point of this video is not about ammunition, necessarily. It's about misprints. So I grabbed the misprinted pages out of my trade binder. They're not really in my trade binder for trade because I would never trade them, but I just find them hilarious and so does everybody else, so I left them in there. Well, the first one is Mustard Pig, and it's going to be pretty hard to show up on camera, but the bottom of the one on this side is printed completely yellow. They just put a yellow haze all over the ink. And it's way more obvious when I have, well, I should say not even if I have a better camera, just in real life in general. So that's a pretty cool one. You don't see that type of misprint very often at all. A lot of these in here are just alignment errors, which is so boring and stupid. You can see, hopefully, that black line. It's kind of like purple because the different colors didn't match up. So it's kind of subtle, but if you see it next to one that's normal, which is, the point with Mustard Pig, then, you kind of get it. So I'm trying to think what would be the most obvious one. Probably Tandem Tactics. If you look at that bar, it just doesn't match up. I mean, it's just not right. It's not black. And that's just like the most common printing problem ever when you're using different machines or the same machine but different rollers or whatever to roll on the ink. I have no idea if these are litho or ink or toner. I have no idea. But whatever they're doing, it isn't working. Now here's one of my favorites here. This one's pretty wild. Time to feed, and you're probably thinking, okay, it's a smudged one. Well, if you scan it in to a computer and then look at right there, it's a name of a different card in reverse. And I don't remember which one it is, but that's pretty funny. I mean, I've seen double prints like this where they put the English on top of the Spanish. That's pretty wild. But this one's pretty nuts too. Now, this is one of my prized possessions. None of these are that great. A massively miscut foil. Look at that. Chopped the whole top off. And yeah, it's a foil Wild Instincts. So the bottom is super thick, top is super thin, and it's a foil. So that's about as rare as it gets for my collection. On the back, same deal. Super thick on the bottom, super thin on top. And in fact, you can see the cut marks, I believe. Oh, that might just be a speck of dust. I have ones where you can see the cut mark because that's a lot of my other ones. Now here's a non-foil miscut. This one is about as bad. I mean, look at the top of that. Now I've seen much worse than this where like you got half of one card on the top and half of another card on the bottom where they just simply cut two cards into it. I don't have any of those, unfortunately. That's like the jackpot if you pull one of those. Now another little smudge print or possibly double printed, not really sure, is Asphodel. You can see the title there is really smudged. I know this camera sucks. The rest of the card is normal though, which is really weird. Well, except for the title. The creature skeleton soldier part is pretty blurry. I really don't know if they accidentally sent it through the machine twice or what happened. This one's pretty dumb because you can honestly do this yourself. And these aren't like, oh, I'm trying to sell them or, oh, I've got such value. It's just, oh, I found them. I thought they were cool. So look at the ink down the side. It's really, really, really faded. And on the top, it's way more obvious if you saw it in person. This camera absolutely sucks. But it's just like this huge, huge area of super, super light ink. Especially on like the word control right there. You can see they printed the side of it really poorly. So yeah, I mean, them running out of ink or not laying it down correctly to the edge. Totally common. I mean, it's like 1 in 50,000 cards, but it's still really common as far as just printing practices. Boy, I got a lot of misaligned ones in here. I gotta find something better. Oh, this one was kind of funny. Kind of on the same pattern. They forgot to print most of the A on Ulamog there, and it kind of goes down the whole card, actually. They didn't print black ink into certain locations. Or it got rubbed off by the rolling wheel, but I don't think that's how it works. Now this one's pretty interesting because this was from OGW, which did not have many like this. It's a super pale Untamed Hunger. There's supposed to be a little bit more black ink than that. I wish I had one next to it to compare it to, but I mean you can just see that artwork. It's so pale. It's like chalkboard black instead of jet black. And OGW was a pretty dark set, I would say. Let's see, let's move on to page 2 here. There's not too much impressive in here, but let's see. Oh, here we go. This one's pretty awesome. And these are insanely easy to fake, but it's a crimped full art plane. So what they did is they took the booster pack, and when they seal it, with like a little, I guess, rolling heated wheel or something, they accidentally got the card in it. The cards just weren't stacked correctly. So they ran this one over, and the funny thing was I got this in a sealed box, and the booster that this was in was actually completely open on the top. Because of how they crimped it, it failed to crimp closed, and it was just totally open, which was hilarious. So that's probably the best one I have, like, value-wise, if I could prove that it was legit. And even then, it's probably like $1. I mean, it's worth whatever somebody's willing to pay. There isn't really a static price for misprints, but that would not be one of the better ones. I did get a smudged Forsaken Sanctuary. That's pretty cool. Like that. And I think, yeah, the entire rest of the card was perfect except for the title. So I'm not sure how that happened. Same thing goes for Mad Prophet. I mean, you look at the top. Holy cow, that does not look right. And then you look at the rest. Yeah, perfectly fine. Weird, huh? I mean, I don't think they print the card titles on a separate run, so I'm just not sure how that happens. But then again, I know next to nothing about how Wizards does things at their printing facility. And it's not even like one they own, and they do move to different ones all the time from what I heard. This one's pretty funny. It's going to be hard to see this, but the whole border is like gray. It's not jet black. And the funny thing is it's called the Pale Rider, and the card is incredibly pale. It has almost no black ink on it. I mean, I'm sure my camera's correcting it, but it's super, super gray. So that one, just for like irony, is probably one of my favorites. But these, oh yes. Oh, these. Take a guess what's wrong with this one. I'll give you a hint. Oops, they cut it wrong. So you can see this side over here pretty thin, this side kind of thick, and it does of course carry over to the back side. I actually wanted more of these because you can throw them in a deck and they're the correct width, and you can still read the card, so you can still legally use it, but it would be really funny. And on the very bottom you can see that little white speck. That's the alignment mark or something like that. It's well, the corners are rounded, so it's supposed to not show up. And I think it's supposed to guide the cutting machine, but I don't even know. At this point, it looks like their cutting machine doesn't even use optics, because it shouldn't have let that happen. And I've got a ton of cards like that. I mean, a ton. We're talking like, catalog, there we go. And they were almost all from the same box, because they just come off the same sheet at the same time. That one had a really obvious cutting mark. There was not that many of them in shadows, but I got about 2,000 to 4,000 off-cut ones that were uncommon from OGW. So you see there's a Devil Thorn, same problem. Must have all came out at once. Let's see. Oh, should have pulled this one before. One of the absolute worst purple alignments ever. Look at that top bar. That's just straight up, it just ends up looking purple. Or like, I don't even know, some kind of weird, I don't even know what that color would be, but it's not black, it's not aligned. That's for sure. Oh, I'm dropping cards, oh no. Oh boy. This one was as close as I got to being printed completely off the card. So there's that edge, and there's that edge. And let's see, does it have a print mark? Yes, it does. Look at that. I would just love to build like a full playset of these and like build a whole deck. Oh, that would just be a riot. Let's see if there's any in here I haven't covered yet. That's cut to the right, cut to the right, cut to the right. Then we got a smudged Call the Scions, but that's about it. Not much more in here. So like I said, not a very impressive collection. Whoops, there goes my shells. That's a Call the Scions that was just smudged a little bit on the title. Pretty cool. So a lot of recurring stuff. I haven't pulled any of the really notorious ones. As far as like, they're half and half, one card, half another. Those are worth quite a bit, by the way, if you ever get one. Depending upon what it is. Like if it was a Planeswalker, you could legitimately get probably close to like 500 for it. I mean, they're that rare. If it's just some blah card or, who cares? Probably not worth as much, but some people are willing to pay like 100 for a card like that. So if you ever see something like that in a pack, don't just go, oh, that's cool, and then like toss it, hello, sell it. Everything you see here, probably not worth that much. Highest would be the crimped one, and I mean, you could fake that with anything, so it's still not worth that much. So that's pretty much my misprint collection as it sits right now. Hopefully when I open like 2 whole boxes of Aether Revolt, I will be pulling even more. Or if I'm really lucky, out of Eternal Masters. So if you guys have some really cool misprint stories, if you pulled something totally wild, you might have seen in my earlier video I had a foil that was, the ink was missing in one location, and people from all across the country told me that they found the exact same misprint on the exact same foil card. So patterns like that do tend to show up, and they just go everywhere. And it really shows the randomization too. Wizards will send, like it'll be like a whole bunch of sheets in a row, and they'll get misprinted the same way because of a defect in the machine, and then when they catch it, okay, they fix it. But then one ends up in like Alabama and one ends up in Wisconsin. I mean, that's just so totally wild. But yeah, that's why you tend to not see patterns in the cards when they do their job. So you can't get much more random than sending them to opposite sides of the world, and sometimes even to different distributors. So yeah, they show up in foreign countries and everything. I don't mean to imply that Alabama's on the other side of the world. But yeah, people from like France have reported to me that they've seen the same misprint. So yeah, there's a lot of patterns and stuff, which unfortunately makes it harder to sell because everybody's seen that misprint. But the really, really rare ones and the really, really expensive cards that are misprinted are worth a bit. I ended up selling a misprinted Gideon, and that was like the $50 Gideon, but I only sold him for about 10 above what he was worth because all the white was replaced with a yellow haze. So I don't know, I guess you could say it kind of looked like sandstone, kind of looked like an all yellow Gideon. And you didn't even need to hold it up next to a regular Gideon to see it. It was really, really obvious. So that's the most valuable, most rare one that I ever printed. I was just ecstatic over it. Not so much when I saw the sale price, but whatever. I sold at private party. So yeah, if you got some good misprint tales, let me know about them because those are just my favorite. And if you collect them or if you think they're the dumbest thing ever, don't collect them at all. Tell me why down in the comment section because I've noticed people are really polarized on it. And I'll see you guys next video.